I am back again with another album to review and rant and rave and rant about. Nicki Minaj Pink Friday 2. At this point, I am in double digits for the amount of times I have listened to this album, and I am going to talk about what I loved about it right here, right now. I'm Leah Dubs, and I'm a writer. That's it. Nicki Minaj Pink Friday 2. This album came out late last year, and I'm still vibing with it and listening and loving it as if it came out yesterday. I love this album. Now, I do want to say that this is the first Nicki Minaj album that I've ever listened to. I have not gone off the beaten path with Nicki Minaj, and I feel that I am 100% qualified to rate this album simply because why not? As a listener, we are free to do whatever we want. If you love it, if you're inspired by it, if you are getting a lot out of the work that they're putting out, you can rant and rave and review it and do whatever you want. So that's what I'm doing, what I want to do. As I mentioned before, I have not gone off the beaten path with Nicki Minaj. However, I have heard before listening to this album, I heard a decent amount of her music simply because Nicki Minaj is a wildly successful artist who has had a number of top 100 records or top 100 tracks over many years. So I've heard a decent amount of her music. I have a pretty good general idea for her sound, her subject matter, the general outline of this Nicki Minaj, the character rapper. One of the things I love about rap specifically for some reason is we have these characters in the game. If we think about the music that these artists are putting out as sort of their avatar to the world, if we think about them as these characters and are listening to their experiences and how they're interacting with the world and how they're internalizing everything, it really takes on this Greek mythology type of storyline where you have so many different characters with so many different backgrounds, so many different stories to tell, and it is so fascinating for me to get into each of these characters. I do want to talk about Nicki Minaj, the character, not the person. I don't know Nicki Minaj, the person, and I want to make that distinction important because I said it once and I will say it again. We spend too much time trying to judge the person and we don't know the person. Okay, we only know the music that they put out, and the characters, their avatars that they're putting out in their music. We don't know how closely these avatars are aligned with them in their daily life. You could just assume that these maybe are just diary entries. Who knows how they react in real life? We don't know them. Getting into who these people are and judging them for what they have going on in their personal lives takes away from what we could be getting out of the work that they're doing, because really that's what they do for a living. They express themselves so to inspire others in some type of way. That's my little speech for this video. Okay, and now I'm moving on. So I want to talk about the Nicki Minaj, the rapper character. She has a couple of reoccurring type things. First and foremost, she's very confident. Her confidence takes on this regal tone. She tends to elevate herself above everyone, quite frankly, but specifically her competitors and her haters, as if she has come from some rap royalty lineage. She's referring to herself as the queen very often. For her, she is just phenomenal in her talent and really can't be matched, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can try, but we can't really do nothing about it. That's sort of her thing, and it's very common through a lot of her songs, expressing this sentiment over and over again. And what I do like about this, although I'm not sure how this type of person would mold with me in real life, that's why I don't want to talk about real life. Real life is stressful enough. I want to talk about the music avatars. Anyway, what I like about this particular part of Nicki Minaj is that it is seen throughout all of her-ness. Even in the way that she dresses, it's very gaudy and it's attention-getting. She's with the loud colors and the crazy outfits, the colorful hair. She's very unapologetic with this image, and she wears it as if everyone dresses this way. I mean, not very many people can do that. She's always really expressive in this direction. I do feel like if some 1800s royal figure transported into our current time space dimension of 2024, they would look like a Nicki Minaj. This is the way that she is because she's her. Everyone else, we're just peasants. I'm not mad about it. It's simply because it's a song. Let's just be real. It's like reading a book about someone that's a Nicki Minaj. Who cares? She's just very expressive in all directions. The way she speaks, she's the inflections with her voice and facial expressions. She's just a super expressive person. Second, she's definitely a big flexer that sort of falls under the Regal umbrella. Her flex is hostile, it's unfriendly, it's strong. You get the sense that she is someone that easily intimidates weaklings. That's okay. That's just what she's expressing, okay? Then she also has this softness to her that comes in the form of her belief in God and her grounding in her spirituality. She often refers to God, and she seems to really have a lot of respect for her spirituality, and it's a big part of her movement in life. Lastly, but certainly not least, Nicki Minaj is 1000% a sexually liberated woman. I mean liberated in the sense that she is operating in a place of total freedom. She puts her sexuality all out there. She does it unapologetically. The way that she dresses, the images that she poses in, even the very crude language that she uses to refer to her sexual escapades, all very, very bold. I like a rapper like Nicki Minaj because she is seemingly so offensive to a lot of people, but I just like that it just fits. I just like that it's just all there. It's just cool. It's cool. Her music has a lot of life to it. I think that probably is why she's more successful. Why she's so successful is because she's figured out a way to express herself with excellence, and she's not afraid of who she is. And it's a great thing. It's inspiring to a lot of people. Whether or not you agree with who she is, someone who's not afraid to be who they are is an inspiration. So all of these aspects of Nicki Minaj, the character rapper, were very thorough throughout the whole album. So it felt like a lot of fun to listen to. It was so much fun. The way she spits, the words that she chooses to use, the sound, the music, the features, it just came together nicely. So for me, the album listening experience is what I got a lot out of. It was just a vibe from start to finish. On my 5th or 6th time listening to this, I played this album from the first song all the way to the last song, top to bottom, as if my day was a music video. I played the first song at the start of my day, and it worked out. It actually worked out that the last song came at the end of my day. It was a vibe. That day was aligned. So I played the first song at the start of my day and played it throughout my day on my commute to and from work, doing what I was doing. Not necessarily background music, but when I actually was listening to music. The first song, Are You Gone Already? This was a sample that Nicki Minaj used from a Billie Eilish song, and it was beautiful. It was also very sad. Definitely more introspective. In her Joe Budden interview, when she talked about this album, she had mentioned that she lost her father in a tragic car accident. So this was very reflective of that moment. I definitely felt a little blue. I did. After listening to it, it made me blue. Then it switches right away. So this is one of my critiques of the album, actually, because I was not a fan of this first transition. The rest of the Bible transitions were good to go. They felt fun to be a part of, but the first to the second song was the one that I didn't like because it just was so different, and I wasn't really ready. I was still sad. I was still feeling some type of way from the first song, and then the second one came on and it really disrupted that feeling. I wasn't really a fan, and I'm wondering what other people thought about that too, if anything. Maybe it just didn't matter. The next track is Barbie Dangerous. Big flex right away. These next three clusters of tracks match that same high energy vibe. Barbie Dangerous, FTCU, and Beat Beat. Is that you talking to me? Is that deep? If I don't even know you exist, is that beef? Y'all like my Nicki impression? It slows down right away. These are very short songs too. I kind of like that. It slows down right away and to me sounded more romantic vibes. Falling for You, I think the first verse it sounded more romantic. It was more about connection with another human being outside of sex. Let Me Calm Down, had same vibes, featuring J. Cole. I loved J. Cole's verse on that track. It was amazing. Nicki Minaj herself raved about it. I don't think there were any skips on here, honestly. Maybe one. I'll tell you which one, but maybe one. Then the next two songs, R&B and Pink Friday. Now those are freaky Nicki songs with the very crude language. I think Lil Wayne is the perfect artist to have on a song like that. So that was great, and it was the first song in that cluster of freaky deaky vibes. Then we get out of that and swing right into, it keeps switching up. The songs are short, the cluster of vibes are short. It kept switching up. I like that a lot about it. The next three songs, so you had Needle featuring Drake. That was probably the only one that was a skip. If you had to skip one, that's the one I would skip. But boy, oh boy, is Drake the artist to swing into this new vibe, club, pop, dance vibe. Drake is the artist for that. In fact, he is so the artist for that people hate Drake because he does so much of that. Cowgirl featuring Lourdes. I liked her Lourdes voice. That was great, same vibe. And then Everybody with Lil Uzi Vert. That song sounded like a Lil Uzi Vert. Okay, I liked it. What happens here when we get out of these club pop, hip hop-ish vibes is it drops a little bit. It gets a little darker, but it still maintains that same hype energy, that same club energy, but it gets that bass is a little bit heavier. It gets dark with big difference. It's a big difference between me and you, and you and you. It's still, still lit. Red was Ruby the Sleaze and Four from Trini. Those were dope because they had that island vibe to it. I mean, come on now, like that island spitting Nicki, that is so dope. She did a decent amount of that in this album, and I love that. We're still partying, but now we got a different tone with Pink Friday and Super Freaky Girl. I like to think of it as like a disco tone, old school tone. Fun is poppy, is still Nicki. She's still flexing on her haters. She's still winning. She's still throwing that ass in a circle. She's still doing Nicki, just vibing, just in these different spaces. My ears had so much fun listening to this album. Finally, go into what I would refer to as her final flex, Bomb Bomb. And this was probably my favorite song on the album. I love the way that she spit on this track. It was very mouthy. I just really enjoyed the way that Nicki spits. This may sound a little weird. But if I catch her on an interview and she starts spitting real quick, just throw out a little bloop, a little teaser. I like looking at her mouth. These next few tracks, My Life, Nikki Hendrix, and Blessings were slower. I would describe them as more reverent, but she gets more into her spirituality. It's more introspective, the softer side of Nicki while still being Nicki. That's a hard thing to do as an artist. I consider myself an artist, so I know for a fact that is not an easy thing to do, to put yourself in what you're doing. There's always tweaks to be made. There's always more of you that you could be putting into what you're doing. So when an artist does it successfully, it's really, really amazing to watch and truly an inspiration. And finally, we end with Just Memories, and I thought that track was great. It was an excellent ending to the album and tied together the beginning perfectly. I like to describe both of those songs as two sides of the same coin. The first one, Are You Gone Already? It was heavier. It had a more despairing tone. And this last song, Memories, is dabbling in that same space, referring to memories possibly of someone that has passed away, or thinking about yourself when you eventually pass away. That memories, that's what lives on. That's what is who we are in this world. We will all eventually die and rot, but our memories, they will remain beautiful. They will remain with people forever. So it had more of a hopeful tone and really tying the album up so nicely. It just tied it up so perfectly. It was great from top to bottom, bottom to top to bottom, to bottom to top to bottom. Great, beautiful piece of work. I would love to know what you guys thought about this album. If there are any Barbs out there, let me know what you thought about this compared to her other albums. Is this her best work? I personally, I might be wrong, but I personally think that you don't have to even listen to her other albums to get a really good sense of what Nicki Minaj, the character rapper, is like, and what Nicki Minaj, the character rapper, is talented for, or what she's good at, where her talents and her skills lie. That this album really just says everything that you need to know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I shouldn't even be saying that because I didn't even listen to her other albums. Let me know in the comments. Let's get the comment section rolling. Let me know if you didn't like it. What do you like about it? I like critique too. I want to keep it as musical as possible, but I definitely like critique. Let me know what you thought. I guess I'll see you next time. I don't know what else to say except bye-bye and namaste.